Hello guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. This is BEYTEK's back cave tonight. We've got lights flashing left, right and centre, so if you get a bit of a sore head or epileptic fits and stuff like that, I'm sorry. So today in this video what we're going to be doing is just welding up a welding sump baffle kit for the Kseries engine, because the engine is a rear wheel drive application and usually they're mounted in transverse. When accelerating, we don't want all the oil to sluice to the back, and when braking really hard, we don't want all the oil to sluice to the front and then up the timing cover. So because I have my turbo returned back into the front cover of the block where the timing chain goes, I don't actually need to weld in an AN10 bung. Down here you can see this is where the oil pump itself sits, and without any baffles oil can slosh around there, so I'll stick the main one in just now so you can get the idea. This basically sits parallel because, as you can imagine, the sump is actually to the side. My engine in the car is actually at this angle. I can't remember the angle exactly, 17 degrees or 11 degrees. 17 rings a bell for some reason, but the oil obviously sits parallel, so that's why this baffle kit sits parallel. The oil pump sits in here, and then this is actually the pickup down here that sits in here. And the idea of that is when the oil drains back into the sump, it doesn't slosh up the back here, and with these little plates in here, it doesn't slosh up the front of the timing chain. So it keeps the oil nice and central in the middle of the pan. Now obviously I log oil pressure, and I've proven, not that it needed proving to be honest, but yeah, in this application the welding sumps work an absolute dream. You can get some from Clockwork Motion, or there's a few different places that do them. They have basically ones you drop in and they have little flaps and stuff. I'm sure they would work as well. Just remember when you get that types with the flaps to bend the corners in, as the suction of the oil can hold the flaps shut. Flaps. So we got a nice new bottle of argon because I seem to go through gas like something crazy. We've got the TIG welder there and a noodly mess. We have a foot pedal in here somewhere, adapter plate for DCT, Kseries, blah blah blah. A bit of a mess around here just now, but we're putting this thing back together. So this is the next stage. This here is a Kseries coolant temp sensor. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this into the pan as well for oil temp. Might as well use one. I've got spare plugs and stuff like that to use, and you know, they're fairly accurate. They're accurate enough for coolant temp, so they'll be fine for oil temp. I have these little thread gauges here. These are pretty handy. All you really do is you fit it through whatever size it goes through, so it fits through there, so no, it's an M10, and you just match it alongside here. These teeth, they have serrated edges, and it'll tell you when you put your thread along the side which one it is. So this happens to be M10 by 1.25. So I've got my wee TIG chair set up. This is the first piece we'll do here, just a little baffle trap. The reason you have to do this piece first is because if you stick this in here first, you're actually not going to get down there and reach to it. To be honest, I'll probably put this in last. It's the biggest piece, but if I can get more access to the front halves, that's going to help. The tricky thing about doing this is actually balancing the pieces in place, because it's not magnetic. You can't use any sort of magnet. You can use like the high temp tape stuff, see-through tape, I can't remember what the name of it is, to hold it in place, but I'll just wing it as usual. So for this one I just done a little tack there. It's handy to put a tack there so this can rest just in that sort of place, and I'll just give it a good pulse and melt that onto the aluminium plate itself. So the next piece I'm going to do is weld this in here, and then this one here you can see it's just kind of balancing there just now. I've tipped the pan up on its earth so it kind of balances out. So So at this point here you can see I've got a tack down here at the bottom, welded across there, and one here and one at the bottom there. So that's more than enough. That's all you really need to hold that in place. With this one down here, because there's a little bit of a gap at the bottom, I actually used the lay wire technique where you lay the filler in and I just rock the torch back and forward. So for this one here, I just used an 18mm spanner just to hold the back end of it up. I put a single tack on here, and now I can tap it down until it's nice and true, and then I can sort of weld the rest of it. So you can see here, if I just, that's perfect. Just a fair beefy weld down here, but that's going to hold that in place no problem at all. It's just basically the oil pump sits in here, which blocks this off, because one of the major issues that maybe people don't realise is when you hard brake, a lot of the oil does sloosh up to the front cover, which is one of the main problems of oil pressure. So by having this blocked off, the oil pump comes through here and blocks that off. You know, your oil is stuck in this cavitation here. So this is the main plate. There's a couple of different styles you've probably seen on the internet. One of the main differences is this piece down here, and you know, the instructions you get basically says to make sure that that's like 23mm from the top of the flange, but to be honest, this one just goes in and sits exactly where it needs to be. The last one I used on the K20, it was a bit more fiddly. It had more pieces as well. This seems to be, I think there's only 4 pieces in this, so much neater bit of kit. So yeah, it fits in there nice. So I'm probably going to do a weld along the back here, and maybe a weld or 2 at the back pieces and along here as well. I did see in pictures them welding in the corners here, but you can really do it whenever you like. It just needs a couple of tacks. It's only holding some the oil down, or in my case it stopped the rod coming right through the bottom of the sump. So that's them all done. Tack weld there. You can see the state of that one there, because I actually dipped the filler metal into the tungsten. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to dip the filler into the puddle. So but I just kept going with it anyway. It cleared itself up nicely. So I put the tacks here, tacked here, tacked here, tacked here. So that'll go nowhere. I'm just going to let it cool down a little bit, and I'm going to weld this bung on the side of it just for my oil temp. So that should be no problem at all. What I'll do is I'll actually weld it on first, and then I'll drill down here. Fortunately, the tip of the sensor is only a couple of millimeters, so you know, it's not going to hurt the threads sending a wee 5mm drill down there. The windage tray I'm going to use is the one, this was in the spare engine I got for £100, that had a slight knock. It also threw its rod, which I'm surprised at, because it wasn't even boosted. So it just goes to show you, I think potentially it hydro locked or something. So you know, that can also kill rods. So we'll chuck in these bolts, torque them all down, and then it's a case of some Honda Bond and the front bolts. Check all these out. This is the beauty of taking apart all these Honda engines, even the fucked ones, because you end up with plenty of bolts spare. So let's get this wee thing on. I've put the cover on and it's all torqued down, so now it's time for the sump. So sump is on, and I had to give a little bit of persuasion to down this piece here, just very close to the oil pump itself. So but I managed to get it down, just squished it a little bit, and yeah, it fits on fine. So happy enough with that. Chucked on the timing chain just now. I still need to bolt it all down and get it all tightened up. Yeah, I need to modify one of these timing chain tensioners. Yeah, it's looking good. Happy with it. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you made it this far into the video, congratulations. Thank you very much for watching. And as per always, take care. And we'll see you in the next vid. Cheers.